What made me decide to mod the car, I think it was more of I was bored. My name is Ricky Nguyen. I'm a marketing director for my pharmacy. I got into cars about maybe 3 years ago whenever I moved here to Dallas. Before then, I was just mainly into boats and stuff like that. This is actually my first real car. And before that, if you would have asked me to change a flat tire, I'd have to YouTube it first. My first car was a Honda Accord. I had it back home in Mississippi. I had absolutely nothing done to it besides a sub, and that's pretty much it. Yes, it is my first BMW. It's my first actual real sports car. Whenever I moved here to Dallas, I was relocated for work, and it was just work and cars, and since I moved here from the Gulf, I couldn't go fishing offshore, so cars was the passion. So finding this car, it wasn't too terribly hard. At the time, I got it back in about 2017 or 18, I want to say. It pretty much just found it on an auto trailer and drove, it was in Bernie, and I had to drive about, I think, 3 or 4 hours to go get it, and I drove it back. Whenever I got the car, it was actually, I was excited, not gonna lie. First real sports car, came from a Honda Accord, so it was a big jump, and driving home, I was just, all smiles the whole way, and whenever I got home, I was in an apartment at the time, and we were just it was straight work, home, that's it. So whenever I actually had something to do in the garage whenever I got home, so that's what I was doing, working on the car. What made me decide to mod the car, I think it was more of I was bored. I didn't have anything to do. Coming from Mississippi, Biloxi, I had casinos, and there's about 12 casinos there. Went fishing offshore, shooting guns, moved to Texas, landlocked. There's nothing here besides lakes, and that's pretty much it. So the first mod on the car, the M4, was a 5-speed exhaust. After that, I heard the nice sound it had. It picked up some horsepower from there. After that, I was just power hungry. From there, since the M4 was basically my only hobby, moved here, no friends, so I basically started modding it from there. I think with the 5-speed, it was probably making around like 450 to the wheel, just on a stock custom tune, but it wasn't enough, and with all the free time I had on the weekends, I eventually just started building everything. Whenever I built the car or started adding more parts to it. So from whenever I did all the exhaust work, I got power hungry, and from there I just added on more mods. I went straight power. That was the only thing I wanted. I had first installed Pure Stage 2 high flows, full port injection, DSS axles, DSS drive shaft, SSP clutches, Brembo big brake kit. At the time I was on 19-inch wheels, but eventually I went down to 18 for more traction. And whenever I had the car with all those mods, I eventually started tuning, and I hit a brick wall pretty much. There's about 5 built motor F80Xs in the whole world, and valve float was an issue. So we had to upgrade the valve train in the engine. And at that time, you can push as much boost as you want, but however, with the valve float there, you're pretty much capped around about 730 to 800 wheel if you're lucky. So once it was about me and 3 other guys that initially first found out about it. I had the valve springs installed immediately. Those were from Head Game Works, and once that was installed, the turbos, the high flows, I maxed them out around 720 wheel, 750 wheel torque. And then after that, I got hungrier. That was pretty much it. After that, the motor was ready to go, and about a year or so later, a new turbo company came out, and I added bigger turbos to the car. Whenever I added those turbos, that's whenever it got real. The turbos, they made 1,005 to the wheel, and that made the very first M4 in the world to crack 1,000 wheel horse. And with that being said, with this being the first M4 model, that's a record that you can't take. So whenever I got the car up to 1,000 wheel, I'm not gonna lie, it was scary as shit driving it. It took me probably about 3 weeks just to get used to the speed, and after that, I felt more comfortable flooring it. I wouldn't be able to get any traction until about tires probably about 27 PSI, like scorching hot. That's whenever I got full traction, and that's whenever I could actually step on it. Regarding how the car drives, there's Olin coilovers on there with the entire SPL lineup. Makes the car amazing. It drives fabulous. I track the car all the time, and whenever you drive the car on kill map, it's actually very friendly. You don't really get into the boost unless you start stepping on it, and I honestly don't let anybody drive it just how fast it is, because not many people drive a car over about 450 wheel. So if you jump into a car that's making it over 1,000 or 900, 800 wheel horsepower, it's just a beast, and it's not safe. So there's a few people that, you know, I let drive the car, but other than that, like, it literally just drives stock, but faster. I really don't go looking for races. That's one thing I did with the car, is I made it OEM++. So everything on the car, besides the big brake kit and the wheels, you're not going to be able to tell that it makes the power that it does. Everything is sleeper. It's as sleeper as you can get for this platform. So whenever, you know, there's someone that pulls up next to me, it's not really worth it. I look at their tires first. I look at the tires. If it's not meaty enough, you're not worth my time. It's not worth the fuel. I'll run through about a tank, and if I'm actually driving, I'll kill a tank in 3 hours, no time. I've actually, I don't really do any digs per se, since a lot of the highways here, the infrastructure here in Dallas, it's great for highway rolls and stuff like that. So there's Mexico, of course. So every time I go down to Mexico, the express lanes, there's always cars down there. It's a nice tunnel, and you'll see Performantes, 458s, 488s, 720s, 675 LTs, whatever you name it, it's down there. The times whenever I'm down there, if I see a car that I know that can make power, let's just say a Huracan or anything like that I know can get twin turboed, or a 720S, those are already fast out of from factory. Those are the cars I'd line up with. And to this date, roll racing, I have not been matched by anybody. I murdered a green Performante, not whenever I was pushing about 1,000 wheel. I gave him the jump. And he did the countdown, and I chased him down. It was a walk in the park. So for the M4, it's currently on Accu-Tech. It's tuned by Ben Calibrations. It has some custom turbos on there. Right now, it drives very smooth. There's rolling anti-lag ALS. There's flex field compatibility. I actually have the very first wave track differential installed in a F80X period. With that being said as well, I have the very first Motive reflex controller installed in the car, and that's the first one running on the S55 platform. And from there, all the fueling is controlled through the reflex controller. From there, the architect just takes over from there. Everything's through CAN bus, everything's through the factory DME, ECU. So everything's nice and simple. All the fail safes are there if anything were to happen. And it's smooth sailing from there. Everything's simple. Whenever I drive the car, since I'm on Acutech, there's actually live map switching. There's rolling anti-lag as well. So I have 4 maps. There's one for every application that I do. There's a kill map, there's a road course map, there's a stock tune map, and there's a valet map, just in case if I go eat or something like that. I don't want someone tapping the gas pedal. If you wanted to buy a M3 M4 F80X and make over 1,000 wheel, it's going to cost you a good bit of time, money, resources, effort. It's going to be in and out of the shop a lot. If you're going to go for everything overbuilt, custom stuff, custom clutches, custom intercooler, roughly you're looking at least 60,000 easily. So I'd like to thank BMW Invasion for having me here and doing this interview. They're a great team. Shout out to them. I'd also like to thank everybody that helped me along the way. Billy from B&B Auto Works built the motor. Mike Brodowski from Max PSI, helpful guy always. The guys over at Motive Motorsport, Jake and Chris with the reflex controller, it's game changing. Bin calibration for the tuning, and last but not least, my brother for letting me drive his car while my car's in the shop. My name is Ricky Nguyen. My Instagram handle is Zupraman, ZUUUPRA_M4N, and that's a wrap.